And I mean,
the motion was actually written down in the
Yes,
agenda of that meeting,
yes.
and that's what we were voting on. So this is a
Yes.
repetition of that wording.
I-
I'm happy to add the words that I spoke,
Yes.
you know, but they're not part of that motion.
Well, I believe that they were. What I'm saying is that I thought the discussion was part of the motion at the time, and that was going to be in the minutes.
The motion was a written motion in that agenda,
Right.
and that's what this motion is. It's just a repetition of that.
But we
So
discussed
I'm
it.
happy-
We discussed it and voted on it, and we talked about the major applications.
and I have got a note of the discussion,
Yeah.
but in terms of the agreement,
Yeah.
the agreement was there was no proposed amendment to the proposal that was.
I thought there was. I thought there was at the time, so I don't know.
I haven't got any record of any
that
proposals.
was my recollection of the meeting, and that's why I'm just picking up on what we're talking about. Is it possible that we can move this to the full council to discuss further?
It's for this committee to decide whether they agree the minutes or not, or whether.
I mean, I'm happy that the resolution reflects what needs to happen to allow this council to function properly. I think that, you know, I'm disappointed, if you like, that, you know, the words that I spoke in terms of the background about how any chair exercising their duty to the rest of the parish council and this committee would conduct themselves, and it would be nice to think you could trust the chair, whoever that was, to do the right thing.
Absolutely, and I agree with you on that, thank you. But I just think as well, as we know, that no one council can act on their own, and I think this is something that's reflecting that two people have to be acting together in accordance with this motion. What we're talking about, my only separation from this was the size of the application. So if it's a major application, we didn't want to delegate authority, we wanted to be able to discuss it at full council, full planning committee.
Just to be clear, this isn't delegating to councillors at all, this is delegating to the parish clerk.
In conjunction with two.
But it's for the parish clerk to consult with the chairman and vice chairman who've been appointed. As a parish clerk, I wouldn't ever recommend making a decision as a clerk where there's scope to extend a deadline, and I think that was how we introduced it last time, was where there was scope to extend a deadline, and certainly on major applications there is. It's with officer delegation.
We don't have to have that in the wording somewhere, though, Sam.
In 20 years on the parish council, I have never ever seen a major application handled other than by the planning committee.
No.
It is inconceivable, Sharon, that
Yes.
we ever would. So I don't know why you're making a big
But
deal of
Michael,
this.
we
and
know
we should
that,
move on.
we know that in the past, both the chairmen and vice chairmen have had discussions with developers outside of the planning
That's
committee.
nothing to do with the planning application.
It
We're talking
is to
about
do with this pre-submission
No,
consultation
Sharon,
process.
this refers to planning applications before this committee and how they might be handled in
If you,
difficult
Michael,
circumstances.
with respect,
That
if you
has
look at
never happened. Do you
16B,
mind letting me finish?
sorry,
It has never happened in 20 years, and I don't think it'll happen in the next 20 years either.
have you
and
looked at this? Sorry,
it's
I've got it in front of me.
almost ridiculous, Sharon, to carry on like this when
Yeah.
we've got assurances from Robert. I'm sure the rest of us round this table have no intention of a major application going by default to two people on the parish council. Ridiculous.
Thank you, Michael. I think we're at cross purposes here slightly, which is what Sharon's trying to draw your attention to. But notwithstanding that, I agree with Michael's sentiment. This is something we're not going to spend a lot of time debating now. We've got plenty of work to get through this evening. This was the motion as it was put and discussed and voted on. If you want to put another motion or ask the clerk to put another motion into another meeting at some future date, it'll have to happen outside this meeting. Can we please move on? Yeah?
And I'll give you advice on how to do it in accordance with standing orders.
Thank
That's
you.
not a problem. You still haven't asked the committee if they agree with the minutes though, which you need to do.
Yeah. Can we have a proposal for these members, please? And second, the vote?
I can't vote because I wasn't here, so...
That's fine. Thank you.
You need to take those pains as well as us.
Sorry.
So are we taking those sections out of the minutes? We're agreeing with the other minutes apart from those two motions.
The minutes
are the minutes.
The minutes are being put to the vote. Can you just get a clear vote, Chairman, on those?
Sorry, we have a vote again. These minutes are being proposed, so a vote for them. 1, 2, 3.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here, so
And those against, nobody's voting against.
Nobody's against it.
I think
Okay.
Sharon's voting against.
Yes, just
But
put them
it's
like
still
those
counted.
two.
okay. Thank you.
I'm touching.
Thank you. Right. The next agenda item is the public session, but what we normally do is allow people to speak in relationship to specific applications as they come up, and we'll be moving on to that fairly swiftly. However, I do want to take the public session as an opportunity to try and identify who would like to speak and for what applications. We have standing orders that allow anyone to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes at the chairman's discretion, and I really genuinely want to try and let everyone have their say, but for a maximum overall period of 15 minutes. So if there are a number of people who want to expressly speak, I'd like to try and identify those now, so that we can do this all in a timely fashion when this application or when any other application this evening comes up. So who would like to speak this evening and for what application? Can we have some names, and I'll jot this down.
Sean Davis, Smock Alley.
That's 1389, Chairman.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to, I have already asked Parish Clerk this question about registrable interests and the code of conduct of parish councillors. I haven't had a reply yet, appreciate it, it's very late in the day, but how can that be dealt with at this meeting? Because it does, obviously, with planning being a very controversial area, I think it's important that we're all clear on who is being excluded from the vote.
Okay, sorry, what is your name?
My name's Carolyn Kirby.
Well, we've dealt with the declarations of interest. It's up to each individual to declare their interests.
Okay,
they've done that.
I understand that.
The rules under which those are done are published documents. They're publicly available. Our clerk can help you access those if you would like.
Well, I have been searching high and low for a definition of registrable interests that apply to this parish council. I actually went to Horsham District Council Monitoring Officer's office yesterday, and I asked to be referred to the code of conduct for the parish council, and they said, oh, we'll find it, there's probably a link, and I haven't heard back from them.
Okay.
And I tried the link.
Sorry to cut across you. Is this just something we could do outside of the meeting, because it's not...
Well, I would like to understand the basis on which the voting takes place.
Go on, please.
Chairman, register of interests are available from the Parish Council Office under the Council's publication scheme. They're available in hard copy under the Council's publication scheme at a cost of, I think off the top of my head, 10 pence a sheet. And are a public document. They have been sent to Horsham, and obviously that question's been raised with Horsham. If anybody has a complaint about a councillor under the Code of Conduct, that would have nothing to do with the Parish Council. It would go automatically via a form which is available on Horsham District Council's website, direct to Horsham District Council. And the District Council, through the Monitoring Officer and or the Standards Committee, depending upon the Monitoring Officer's view, would investigate that, but it would never come to the Parish Council.
I'm not quite clear why some parish councils publish their register of interests and West Chiltington doesn't.
It's for the Monitoring Officer of the District Council to publish and provide us with a link, and that hasn't been done yet, possibly because we've had a couple of co-options And so one of our councillors was only co-opted at the last parish council meeting, and in fact I only got there, I mean they're still within a timeline of being able to declare, but have actually given me their register of interests. But it was, I think, last week, I'm just looking at Gary, maybe the week before, I'm lost, but thank you. And has now been sent to Horsham, but it's for Horsham to provide us with
And
a
the
link.
code of conduct that should really be available, it's written up, I understand, by each parish council. Where
The code of conduct is a standard code of conduct across Horsham district.
Well, I've been
and
told by
again-
the SALC that each parish council writes its own code of conduct dependent on the type of business that it conducts, and therefore it hasn't been, I haven't been able to find it.
Don't know who's told you that, but
So it's a standard one. So the
one that we've adopted
is the standard.
is a one that was provided by Horsham district and was adopted back in, I would imagine, 2012.
And could that be placed on your website so that it's clear to people?
I have just asked Simon to do that actually.
I thought that it had been done. I thought that it had been done.
Because we've changed it. He just said that he thought that we'd gone through it recently, so we're just doing the documents.
No, it's confusing that with standing orders, but
He said we could do it if you give it to him.
right, it is a document that
Thank you.
on the website.
Okay. Is that okay?
I would have liked to know what the registrable interests are ahead of this meeting, but yes, thank you for explaining why they're not, I haven't been able to access them.
I must confess I thought we had put them online already, but I'm up to date now too. Okay. So I was asking the floor for people who wanted to speak.
Yes, please. The Smock Alley application.
What's your name?
Louise Holstable.
Anyone else? Marshall?
On BC, is it 1389?
Sorry, Chairman, can I just ask, Sam said that even as we're going out to prejudicial interest, we can also speak as members of the public 3 minutes.
I understand that's correct, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'd like to speak.
And if either Sharon or Gary want to speak, they should be allowed
To speak first, yeah, no, I understand that. Would you both like to speak?
I'd like to make some comments about the Smock Alley application.
Smock Alley.
Caroline Kirby again.
Yes. Mark Price. Okay. And
Yes, and I obviously like to speak, yes, for the application.
Okay.
Excuse me, isn't the developer of Smock Alley present?
In front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we ought to know that.
Yes, he's here and he's asked to speak in favour of the application. I'm sorry you didn't hear that.
Sorry?
He's just asked to speak in favour of the application.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Chairman, everybody's a member of the public in terms of speaking. It doesn't matter who speaks for or against. We get no different a time or no different position other than councillors who are members of the committee who declared an interest, and just because of the process they need to speak first before they leave the meeting.
So as a member of the village and the public, once people have spoken, do I have the right then to speak? At the moment, I just want to listen to what's being said because I'm new to this.
No, when people have spoken, that'll be their only opportunity to speak. We're not going to go back and allow people to, pick up on other points as the meeting goes. Otherwise, we'll be here till midnight. So,
Okay, so I need to do all my homework before.
Yes, if you would like to let me know if you want to speak. We're just trying to sort out whether we've got enough time to squeeze everyone in.
Okay. Well, maybe if you do have time and I do put my hand up, you'll give me a liberty of speaking.
I'd like to know now because.
Okay. Well, I'd like to register it now, then, please.
What's your name?
It's Paul Marchant.
Paul
Marchant.
Excuse me, Chairman, I do think that
Yes.
we need time to discuss this, and the fact that we're here to midnight is irrelevant.
Unfortunately, our standing orders make it quite clear. I'm only duty bound to let members of the public speak for a maximum of 15 minutes in total. I've said already that I would let as many people speak for as long as possible, but we have a full agenda this evening. And if you read the Code of Conduct when you have an opportunity, it also tells us that as chairs we shouldn't let meetings run over 2 hours if at all possible. We all do this as a matter of voluntary work. You've got your opportunities to make representation directly to Horsham District Council. Horsham District Council are the determining body, we're not. We're not even statutory consultees. All we have is a right to be notified of a planning application and give representation just like any other member of the public. Okay, so, indeed, thank you. Okay, so we have a list and we'll try and work our way through that. Would you like to speak in that case?
No, thank you. I think that's enough.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the applications in that case. The first application is Kings and Princes, the Hollow, the installation of some photovoltaic cells on a barn roof to the rear. The site plan, I'm sorry it's so small, but there's a little blob of red sort of halfway up the site on the right-hand side, identifying the barn that you can now see on this larger plan. It's some way away from the listed property to the south, just above the words Kings and Princes. And that's as much information as we've really got in terms of visually how it's going to look like facing the sky. So I think that's right.
So which way will it be facing? Does it face towards the footpath, or I can't really work that out.
It's a very low-pitched roof, and it's just facing towards the sun slightly south.
I can answer that.
Okay.
It's set above the footpath, so you don't actually see it from anywhere except from the property from the house. It faces south. If you walk up the footpath, it's on the left and it's set up quite high front.
I mean, Horsham will weigh these things up against conservation and heritage issues. Does anyone have any strong feelings about it? No. Can I propose no objection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Right, the next application is Smock Alley. And it's for the outline planning application for 19 dwellings with access to Smock Alley, landscaping, parking, public open space and new footpath link. I did speak to the planning officer, the case officer this afternoon, just to clarify that it is an outline application, all matters are reserved. So whilst it says landscape here, landscaping is not actually formally part of the application, just for clarity there. This is the site plan, as I'm sure you all well know. This is the layout proposal for 19 dwellings, and just for interest's sakes, the next one shows the previous 21 as a comparison. That is the drawing showing site access. This is a proposed cross-section through the site to show the height of various properties in the landscape. This is a plan showing the trees as surveyed. And this plan shows the indicative landscaping proposals. Before we start on this, I've just got a few other notes which I'd just like to make you aware of. As I hope you would expect, I've liaised quite extensively with the case officer and strategic planning at Horsham District Council. And having taken advice, one issue they have been very clear with me on at the moment is that our neighbourhood plan, because it's at a very early stage, will have no weight as far as they're concerned in their deliberations for the time being, because the consultation process hasn't been concluded. But one thing they have said is that if the consultation process is concluded and we can get that consultation advice back to them, they will leave any decision to the last possible moment so that that can be included. However, consultation could go either way, so it's incumbent upon all of you to put your representation in. We do have certain facts in front of us, as I see it, now that we didn't have when we deliberated on the previous application. And we benefit from the assessment of the previous application as a recommendation for approval and its determination by district councillors, which was a refusal, and now have an appeal for that first application before us, which is pertinent to tonight. The assessment that was made for the previous application obviously recommended it for approval, and district councillors voted against that on the night, and there were 3 reasons given for that decision, and they were sustainability, as I'm sure you all know, landscaping, and section 106. And I think the concern for us as parish councillors is that those grounds appeared on the surface to be fairly weak, thrown together at the last minute.
So what's your interpretation?
The reasons for saying that is that as far as sustainability
Excuse
is
me, what's the
concerned...
106? Some of us are not part of the council.
I'll come to that, I'll explain. So the first ground for the original refusal was sustainability. And recent planning inspectorate judgments in Horsham district area have said very clearly that sustainability essentially goes out of the window if the district does not have an up-to-date plan. That is not the fault of the parish council, that's the fault of the district council, and the planning inspector has said as much in various planning appeal decisions. The other issue that it was refused on was landscape.
Visual
and
appearance. Sorry, visual
landscape and
appearance.
visual appearance, yeah. And landscape, of which visual appearance is a part, was never part of the original planning submission. So it shouldn't have been, shouldn't have been one of the major reasons for refusing it. But others, no doubt, will debate that. And the third reason for its refusal was the section 106 not being completed. And from all the feedback and my knowledge of the workings of the planning world, that is effectively a technicality because all section 106 are agreed on a pro forma regime that's
we still don't know what 106 is.
A section 106 is a legal agreement with the planning authority to give money for various things, for infrastructure, for health, for education, in mitigation of a development. So unfortunately, it's something I don't like working in the industry. Town planning no longer looks forward and installs extra healthcare and extra schools and things ahead of more housing coming in. It's always done retrospectively, and it's done by amassing some money against new development. That is the framework under which we work. Does that clarify?
Thank you so much.
No problem. Therefore, we have this appeal. It could be successful. So one of the key questions I believe the council needs to ask itself is, would we be better off potentially with 19 houses on a site rather than 21? However, I just want to finish what I'm going to say for the time being by saying there are 2 significant factors that are outside our control which could have a significant impact on how this application is determined in the end, and they are Horsham District's plan. If the examiner does agree that the plan should go forward and be adopted, then obviously the 5-year housing land supply issue will go out the window, and the applicant will have a very difficult position in terms of arguing that as they're doing at the moment. The other thing is our neighbourhood plan. If that gains greater weight by having gone through the consultation process, and we can demonstrate that it has support and feed that consultation back, I have already written to the case officer to make sure that we can give that information to them as late as possible, and they have assured me that they will take that into consideration. So we are in a situation where we have certain facts and information now, and in literally only a few months' time we could have a whole set of different facts and information in front of us, which could completely turn this on its head. Either way. You know, the neighbourhood plan may not, the consultation on the neighbourhood plan might not support the current position, and on the other hand it might do. So both of those things, in my view, need to move to a high level before they can be taken seriously. So we're looking at basing our discussion on the old core strategies, the old plan, and so on and so forth. So if we could take the debate forward in that context, it would be helpful. Don't be surprised if I stop some of you from bringing out lots of facts to do things that are relatively unknown in terms of their certainty until, as I say, we've got a little bit further forward. So, could I ask Sharon and Gary now to speak?
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm just going to answer some of the things that you've mentioned. The first one was the previous application was assessed as recommended for approval. I've had a long conversation with Barbara Charles today, and that carries no material consideration in this application whatsoever. Policy has moved, sorry Chairman, I'm talking to you, sorry. Policy has moved on considerably from when Emma Parks made her recommendation, and she said policy's changed very quickly and has moved on. She also has said that the recommendation, only the refusal carries weight, not the recommendation. The number of units have been reduced from 19 to 21. I don't think that affects the visual impact or the overbearing aspect in any way, or the out of character of the village setting that we have there at the moment. The fields in question form part of a settlement coalescence which is covered by Policy 27 in the HDPF. Barbara Charles told me today that this HDPF Policy 27 is much more comprehensive than any other policy we've had regarding settlement coalescence. And that when this application is heard by Horsham, even if it has not been approved and by the district councillors, it will carry weight legally. Considerable weight, she said. She said the appeal would more than likely be heard once the HDPF has been adopted. The neighbourhood plan does carry some weight at this point, according to Helen Lowe, the case officer. The members of the parish have worked on this neighbourhood plan for 2 years, yourself being one of them. It has been adopted by, voted on and adopted by the parish council, and any lack of objection to this proposal could be seen as sabotage to the work that's been done on the neighbourhood plan so far, and will certainly conflict with the Localism Act of 2011. There's been a large number of letters of objection, over 120 already on the Horsham District Council's website. We have over 347 signatures to a petition. So, and this has come from across the whole village. This is obviously, as we know, a contentious application, and many people across the village, not just the people in Smock Alley, do not want this building. If this is approved, this could potentially set precedents across for the field next door, adjacent, and for the field across the road in Haglands, which is owned by the same landowner. Although this isn't a material consideration, it's something I feel that we should consider as a parish council, and that the whole land to the east of the village could be built on. We know that there's a potential planning application for 14 houses on the field opposite Lordings Lane at the moment, and any application outside of the built-up area boundary, which this is, within a gap between villages, could set a precedence. I'm nearly done. There's been a recent consultation response from Southern Water confirming that there's an inadequate sewerage capacity to support this development, and existing properties may be subject to greater risk of flooding as a result. This only went on the website yesterday. Just to surmise, it's out of character with the surrounding area. I can give you all the policies, but I won't. It's contrary to the emerging HDPF inspector's initial findings. It's in an unsustainable location. We're a medium village. We were category 2. Barbara Charles told me today that the core strategies don't count at this point in time. It's the HDPF that counts, and that's what we should be looking at policy-wise. We don't have sustainable transport from this area. The need for social housing is being met on an exception site that we know about that is within the neighbourhood plan. It's outside of the built-up area boundary. and it could severely damage the local ecology and biodiversity of rare species, bats, badgers, etc. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Sharon. I think Sharon's covered a lot of the issues. I would be grateful if we didn't just repeat all of the issues as parish councillors we've read, or at least we should have done. I've certainly read.